So we established that I want to make a correction from the last video. So my daughter was actually 21. For some reason, I'm getting confused on the dates. So in 2011, she was 21, about to be 22. With the social service program, they told me I was responsible for her until she was 21. And then these idiots told me that no, in the federal government's eyes, I'm responsible for her until she's 22. This is why she wasn't getting approved for any governmental assistance. So I was told that I had to pay for her PET scan since she didn't have insurance, and the PET scan people will not do the PET scan unless they had a deposit. So I had to pay $248 deposit, and then make payments over time for because the PET scan is $1,200. But they said if I racked up enough or incurred enough medical bills, that Brandi should be able to apply for it, and I may not have to pay the rest of it. This is what they told me. But anyhow, that was one mistake there, and that's why I was getting confused, because we kept getting turned down, because it kept, each time when she was 20 she applied, they said, no, you got to wait until you're 21, your mom's responsible, especially since you live with her. And I'm like, damn, well, why did y'all stop the child support? Maybe her dad should help pay for her too until she's 21. If I'm responsible, why wouldn't her dad be responsible? Didn't make sense to me, but whatever. And then when we went back in there, they said, oh no, your mom's responsible until you're 22. I said, so when she's 22, are y'all going to tell me no until she's 23? Yeah, that place was just a mess. This is part of the reason why I sent her to Pennsylvania. But I wanted to show you guys. Also, the other mistake was, I said she had low white blood cell counts, and really hers was high. So a normal is between 4,300 and 10,800 white blood cells. That's a normal count. Brandi's was 27,000. So her white blood count was high. But I wanted to show you some pictures of Brandi growing up, because one of the things that people end up having problems with is they lose a lot of weight. You know, this is one of the symptoms for Hodgkin's lymphoma. You lose a lot of weight, and Brandi did, but it was really hard for us to decipher that she was losing weight because of cancer. We thought, you know, because she had gotten pregnant and this was her second baby, so she lost weight during the pregnancy, and we kind of could see that she lost weight, but that happens. I mean, I threw up with both my kids, all three of them, but more so with my daughter and my oldest son. I threw up a lot with them. So I lost weight too. So it was not like we were alarmed or anything over the whole weight loss thing. But when Brandi was a baby, I mean, we're not small people. We are. I grew up chubby. My daughter grew up chubby. We just didn't understand the food situation. We didn't have an understanding of what was considered healthy. Plus, we just love food. So we ate crappy all our life. And a lot of people do, because they don't understand the food supply system. And well, we definitely didn't. I yo-yoed all my life, up and down in weight. But usually after I had my children, I would lose weight, and I'd look skinny for a couple months and then pack it right back on. Well, Brandi did the same thing after she had her oldest son. She gained the weight, and then after she had him, she lost it, and then gained weight back again. So I didn't think much of it when she lost the weight while she was pregnant. We didn't clearly understand that, but This is Brandi when she was a baby with my mom. A little chubby thing, but not bad. There's another picture of my mom. That's me and my nephew. See, we're not skinny people, and just so y'all know, I'm not photogenic, so whatever. I don't even care at this point. It's another picture of her when she was I think she's about 5 years old in that picture, I think. This is another picture. We always carried our weight around the middle of our arms and stuff. It's another picture. So you can see in this picture, Brandi's not, not obesely, ghastly fat. It's just that we were chubby. This is how we grew up. Another picture of her. Brandi's about 15 or 16 in this picture. So, and then, you know, she was pregnant with her second baby, and we could tell that she lost weight, but she still looked like a normal pregnant mom. You know, she lost a little weight, but she still had a decent, looked like decent pregnancy. Not bad. This is right after she had her baby. That's my son there, and that's the father of her baby. And then, so, you know, we were, oh, and this is another picture of her when she was about 15, 16 years old. So, weight was a issue in our family. It just happened, so, you know. But anyways, after she had him in October 2010. She was born in 2010. Yeah, and then that January, by January, we could tell that something wasn't right, and that she was still losing weight, more so than she should have been. And when my mom told me that she looked sick, that alarmed me, but I wasn't sure just how sick she was. And I thought, you know, initially I thought, oh, well, we all lose weight after we have our babies. That's just our family genetic makeup, but, you know, it is what it is. But and she's like, no, she's lost more weight. And I'm thinking, oh, why? And it didn't make sense. I said, is she not eating? And my mom was like, no, she's eating. Probably not much, but she has eaten. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. I couldn't make sense of any of it. I was really just floored by the whole. I mean, you just never know what to expect when something like this happens. But in that short time after Brandi had her baby, October 13th to the beginning of January, she had lost a tremendous amount of weight. And this is what she looked like. And she was awfully weak and very pale white in this picture. This is not, I brought her home. This is not long after her diagnosis that we got this picture. She was actually putting on one of my best friends' jeans, who's always been like a size 4, 5, 6 or something like that. They were small jeans, and I couldn't believe that my daughter was wearing them. I couldn't get over how sick she looked in that picture, even though I didn't try to lead on to it like it was abnormal. But we knew at this point, when that picture was taken, that she was really sick. And that's one of the symptoms for Hodgkin's. Some people put on weight, and there's a lot of people who lose a lot of weight within a short amount of time. So the pregnancy kind of hid the fact that this cancer was doing its thing to her. So we didn't think much of it until after she had the baby and she kept losing weight. And it was like, oh, whoa. So the next step was for them to do a PET scan. They wanted to see just how much cancer was in her body. And we were told that Hodgkin's lymphoma is when the cancer has gone inside the spleen and inside the liver. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is when the cancer is on the outside of those organs. And I think that's what the doctor was hoping for, it to be non-Hodgkin's, because non-Hodgkin's is considered most curable. So the PET scan was going to be able to tell them this. Now, people don't tell you exactly what to expect when you go in for these things, so I didn't have a clue about anything. I mean, I'm totally dumbfounded. I didn't research medical stuff until Brandi got sick. I was researching, trying to figure out healthy options on how to feel better health-wise myself. So I was kind of studying nutrition before Brandi got sick, and vitamins and things like that, but I didn't understand the medical stuff until she got sick, and then I started learning. But anyways, you know, when you go in for the PET scan, it's nuclear medicine. They actually inject you with a nuclear dye, and you get on this table and they take pictures for about 20 minutes or whatever it is, slices of pictures or x-rays. And they say there's really no health risk or side effects of the dye, but I'm thinking, it's nuclear medicine, there's got to be some risk behind it. But it's so crazy. They would come in with this lock box. It was just a small lock box, and they had a key to unlock it. I'm like, God, that sounds like, it seemed like it was crazy in itself, because why would they have to lock it up like that? It's weird. But anyways, Brandi also had to drink this drink in order for the cancer to eliminate with the nuclear medicine that they injected. And she said it wasn't very good either. So they had done 3 PET scans over the course of her cancer. And I actually am going to show you those slides, but I have to do it at a later time, but not on this video, because I have to boot up that computer, and I'm not excited in the least to get on that computer. It's so crazy. But it's, you know, modern technology and science and the way they figure things out and how they can, like, actually go inside and look at you is amazing, but also scary. Because in my mind, I don't want anything that's foreign in my body, nor do I want it in my daughter's body. So, you know, doing the nuclear medicine, I thought, God, you know, this has got to have side effects. How can they say it don't have side effects? You're bringing it in a locked box, telling me I have to wear this big old shield type thing because Brandi's radioactive during this time. What? There's no side effects? Come on. Anyhow, I mean, at this point, we didn't have any choice. We didn't have any knowledge. We didn't have anything. So we complied. We did what we were told. So we got the PET scan done. Then we left and we made the appointment with the doctor's office, and he's gotten the results, and he was like, so let's go over a few things. And he's like, so we found out that she does have classic non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I was like, okay, how does she get it? And the doctor's like, we don't know. He just put his hands up. We don't know. We don't understand this cancer and why it gets there. And I thought, well, how the hell can you cure it if you don't know? That was my thought. Like, why in the world would you use medicine to cure something if you don't know how it even started? It didn't make sense to me. But I'm like, okay, he's the one with the degree. Let's listen to what he says. But then he goes on and he tells us, so this is how he explains to us how cancer in Brandi's body is working. And the doctor probably drew it a little bit better, but he said, this is Brandi's back, and vertebrae and all that stuff. And then in there is the bone marrow. And this, I'm drawing standing up here, but the bone marrow is inside the spine. And that's where new blood is generated. But when you have cancer, so also he said, and then it distributes wherever it needs to go. That's what he said. The blood will come out of the bone marrow, the new blood, and it'll go wherever it needs to go. But Brandi's blood was B cells. And she was producing all these B cell bloods, which meant cancer. So she was producing B cell blood, and it was going wherever it needed to go. That's how he explained it, and that's kind of how he drew it up on a piece of paper. So I was like, well, if you know it goes in, it starts in the bone marrow, wouldn't it make sense to find out what is causing the bone marrow to produce these B cells instead of just chemically treating it? It still just wasn't comprehending to me that the way they made it sound like is the chemotherapies will kill the cancer. But in my mind, it's not curing the problem, because if the chemo goes into your body and it goes to the cancer itself, it's killing the cancer. But it's not getting inside where the blood is being produced. So it's not curing the bone marrow. So I couldn't make sense of it, and I didn't have the right questions to make me understand. Because I don't think like most people, I think in my left mind frame or something, I don't know, but I just don't think like most people, and I think to myself, well, why in the hell would you poison all the other blood cells or poison the body with these harsh chemicals when the root of the problem is not going to be solved by these chemos? And he's like, well, the cure rate for, and they, just so you know, they can't really use the word cure. They have to phrase it in a way that they're not saying they're going to cure you, but give you hope that you'll be cured. So, and I found that out dealing with this stuff too. So, he said the cure rate is usually 85 to 95%. And so if Brandi needed to have any kind of cancer, this would be the one. Which I hate that saying. Because nobody wants to hear that, oh, if you got cancer, this is the best one to have. No, nobody wants to hear that. You know, so I wish doctors would stop saying that. But, so I did ask, I said, so what happens after if this chemo doesn't work? What would happen after? And he's like, well, then it would become basically refractory Hodgkin's, meaning the chemo didn't work. And then there would be a discussion and a meeting of the minds after the treatment, and that it's possible that she would have to do bone marrow. And he explained a little bit about that, and I was like, well, what does that mean? And he's like, well, you would get a bone marrow transplant, and usually they use your own blood. And basically what they do is take your blood out, I guess in a machine, and don't quote me on this because we didn't go through the bone marrow, but our understanding of it was it would take her blood out through a machine, chemotherapy the blood, and then put it back in. I thought, it's still the same thing. You're not actually killing anything but what's already there, not the root of the problem. So, and they said, you know, he didn't make it sound very promising if it became refractory Hodgkin's. That I don't know. It just didn't sound, the way he sold it to us wasn't like she wanted to deal with that. But the way it made it sound like it was like the bone marrow transplant was, so you go in and you get all prepped and everything, and then you have 1 to 100 days to know whether or not this was going to work, or you could die in the 100 days. So we were like, whoa, yeah, that's kind of crazy. And then we showed concern about it, and he was like, well, listen, I don't want y'all to get too far ahead of yourself. Let's treat her for the Hodgkin's with chemotherapy and radiation. Right now we're going to start her on chemotherapy, and the chemotherapy he chose was ABVD. So it's 4 different types of chemo that would go in and kill this cancer. So we were like, okay. But I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, so they wanted to discuss treatment options, but really we didn't have options. There was no options. The protocol was ABVD, and then if it didn't work, bone marrow transplant. So that wasn't options to me, because like, what was the alternative? Like, what else could she do besides the chemo? And that wasn't, there was nothing. I mean, there was no alternative. There was nothing. And he said, you know, if Brandi didn't do the chemo, that she may have a year left to live. But that's uncertain because Brandi was already so sick. Then he said that, you know, if she does the chemotherapy, she has a good chance of getting to that 5-year mark without fail. She was young. Also, they had to stage her cancer, and the PET scan helped to do that too. And so, if it was stage 1, 2, it means it was above the navel, the belly button, and if it was below, it would be stage 3, 4. And I'm not sure what classified as 5, but Brandi was pretty severely close to 4 or 5 stage. But he was like, you know, this is, even though the cancer has progressed quite a bit, he believed that she had a good chance of beating this cancer with chemotherapy. And he did explain a little bit about the radiation. He said once, you know, she's done the chemotherapy, they'll radiate where the like lymph nodes were, the cancer was in the lymph nodes. They'll radiate those areas. And he said, he explained a little bit about that, and it was like the side effects of that is you'll feel like you have a sunburn. But you go in it was a lot. I think it was like every day or every other day to get radiation. And they mark it on your body where the radiation has to go. And we were kind of dumbfounded by it. I'm like, God, how in the hell? I mean, first of all, I'm stressing about my bills. Now y'all got me coming in here once. So the treatment was for 12 rounds of chemotherapy, AVVD chemotherapy, which meant one treatment was going to be once every other Tuesday, every 2 weeks for 6 months. 6 months she would have to go in and get treatment. I'm like, wow. So this is mind-blowing to me because I didn't understand how all this cancer stuff worked. So we were getting a lot of information dumped on us at one time. And I was just like, yeah, I don't know about the radiation part, man, because if I got to run to this hospital every day because her doctor's office was connected to a hospital. But, I mean, gas-wise, that's going to really hurt my pockets. Not that the hospital was probably about 15-20 minutes from me, but if you're doing it every day for radiation, or even every other day, that can be costly. I'm like, who is paying for this? And that's all I worried about the whole time, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't want my daughter to be sick, but in the same token, I'm the only one supporting my household. There's no other income coming from anywhere else but me. So how was I supposed to afford getting, and this is what my mindset was always stuck on. Okay, how much it's going to cost? How much it's going to cost? Because I'm already struggling trying to pay for a house that I can't afford, and electric bills that has gone skyrocketing. Mind you, we bought our house during the crash, okay? When Bush was like his last year in office, and the market was starting to tank, and then Obama got into office and totally ruined the economy. You know, my job was a luxury, so the first to go is the housekeeper. So I've lost a few few clients because of this new administration / the old one. And, you know, people were getting hammered with the foreclosures left and right back then. It was nuts. And all I was trying to do was save mine from foreclosure because I didn't want to be part of that statistic. And I was sitting here thinking, like, God, you know, I have a $170,000 house. And I set all my bills out, and I'm like, okay, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to get over this one. I got to get this one paid down right away. And I was like, well, I wonder how much cancer costs, you know, because they told Brandi I was responsible for her. So I'm thinking, how am I going to afford this? I didn't even know what the sticker price of was for cancer. So I got online and I looked it up. For one person with cancer, you are $250,000. $250,000 in debt with a diagnosis of cancer. And I thought, who the hell can afford that? This costs more than my damn house. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would give my right arm to save my child. But cost-wise, I was like, how in the hell would I afford it? But I was back in that delirial, stupid-ass thinking back then. Like, well, somebody's going to have to finance this because my daughter needs to live. So, somehow, some way, we're going to have to get a loan for this. And I just thought, oh my God, I'm going to work for the rest of my life until the day I die, because $250,000 plus $170,000 house note, what the hell? Like, I was just dumbfounded on how I was going to afford all this. I only made 50 grand a year, possibly. Sometimes a little less. Sometimes a little more. But still, it's like, you don't think that the rest of your life is going to consume you with house notes, electric bills, water bills, and now cancer. You don't think in your mind like, oh my gosh, this is something that I'm going to have to pay for, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's just, I don't know. I was so dumbfounded. I was just, the whole process was scary in itself. And I was like, well, I don't know how we're going to afford it. So, Brandi, you're going to have to file again for these government programs. And this is the sad part. You know, my daughter had to have cancer in order for them to approve her for medical and the food stamps. That's how I feel, because she didn't get approved until she had cancer. And if they would have told me, oh no, your responsibility, if they would have said that one more time, I think I would have gone postal up in that bitch. Seriously, because I can't support my family and hers. You know, like, she had 2 mouths to feed, plus herself. I mean, this is her own family. Like, why would they not help her? I mean, why did she have to get a diagnosis? And this is why I get pissed about the whole immigration thing. We are American-born citizens. We live in this country. We were born in this country. And you want to give this money to other people who weren't born here. This is why and I don't want to get on the whole political thing, because this is supposed to be about cancer, but this is why I used to get so mad about the welfare system, because people have struggles. People fall short, and it happens. But when you have to jump hoops and keep, like, I had time and money and energy to keep going back to the welfare department, to keep being refused. And then even then, when she got diagnosed with the cancer, even then they didn't want to help. It was like, I had to go up there and be the voice to say, oh, yes, you are going to help. Yes, you are, because I can't afford it. I don't have $250,000. Don't y'all understand? My house is in foreclosure right now, and I'm trying to get it out of foreclosure and modify my loan. Y'all are going to help my daughter. This is why I get mad at the system, because you know what? Well, welfare, they've been claiming they need to reform it for years, but they haven't. If anything, they reformed it to where they can further help out more illegal immigrants and not the American people. And it makes me mad. If we're Americans and we're paying into this taxes and stuff, the last thing we should be doing is sending our tax dollars over to other countries, or even helping people coming to this country illegally. I mean, it's the last thing we should do. Now, if you come here legally and you find yourself in a bind and you did all your legal stuff, I have no problem you using our tax dollars to pay for everybody falls. But we as a country can't help other countries, or even people from other countries, when we are in fault ourselves. We are in a situation ourselves. And that's what used to piss me off about the whole immigration thing. And I don't understand these Democratic leftists who allow this shit to happen. They are not, let me just tell you, these left Democratic leaning people are not ever on the totem pole of us poor people, working class citizens who struggle every day to fight to get $1. And you want to give our money to illegal immigrants so they can come here and set up house? It used to piss me off. How can they buy a house? How can they have all these things? And I'm struggling. I didn't get my first house until I was 38. All those years I struggled to get a house. That's my whole goal in life, was to own a damn house. And I struggled to get that house, and I struggled to keep it, and it was all for nothing. But that's in another, I'll have to do another whatever on that. But listen, I'm going to end the video. More to come. So if you like my content, please like it, share it. My hopes is to get out there to other people who are going through cancer, to give them an idea of what to expect by learning from my daughter's journey, because I don't feel like there's many videos like that out here. So please like and share and subscribe. That'll help other people find me easier. Thank you so much for listening, and to be continued.